Peace Collective. Today we are channeling this beautiful message with Archangel Michael. The first card that came out is the Sun. You have had enough in your life of the darkness, the shadows, the degradation. You are ready, I think, for once in your life to actively live. And you may not know what your life or even living entails in this season of your life, because what you've known in the past has been a lot of darkness. And so, in the sun finally shining on you, I think you're just enjoying the warmth of the physical sun at this time. Not with any expectations to what's going to happen in the future, but just really being in the present moment and enjoying your solar plexus energy. I feel like your solar plexus energy is turning on. And where that's going to lead you, it's yet to be foretold. Because collective, you're finally feeling the strength of the rebirth that has happened. You're no longer in such a sensitive state. You realize that in the rebirth, there were aspects of your conscious development and choices to be made as to who you were going to become, how the season, who you were going to be, and who are you going to be in the season of your life. And I feel like this is where you're finally allowing the divine masculine energy within to bring into your life the manifestations ultimately that you desire, the depths of your heart and soul. And with that being stated, I don't know that you actively know the fullness of what your heart and soul truly desires at this point in time. And it's okay, because I think that in allowing the sun energy to finally reach you, to finally touch you, you will discover how you want the rest of your life to look. And you'll go after it unapologetically. And right now, you're in a discovery phase. And it's okay to be in this discovery phase. So I feel like you could be really pulled towards grounding, to solar energy, literally having yourself be blessed by the sun, which I know I'm going to have my sun time after this reading. Okay. I feel like there's been a lot of triggers going on in certain connections, those with their divine reflection, divine counterpart, and even external triggers that have allowed you to look deep within the relationship and discover how you want it to really operate. We have the swans. The swans, to me, is speaking to, a higher type of relationship, a higher vibrational connection. One that is aligned with the reflection of self. And I'm aligned with my divine partner. With being aligned with my divine partner, even though he's passed, I've realized that there are certain characteristics and traits that he has that I don't like. But in that, I had to look at myself and realize that I also hold those same characteristics and traits. And if I didn't like them within him, then I needed to look at myself, and instead of just running away from the situation, instead of running away from our connection, which I have tried to do numerous times, I needed to realize that I am the one that can make these changes, and either he becomes that vibrational match, and reflects that back to me as we grow and ascend into the beings that we ultimately want to be, you know, or I continue my journey. My journey and my ascension will never be stagnated by another. I've made that very clear. I'm saying that there are certain relationships that are entering your field or are in your field. And I feel like this is for those that are connected, that are allowing you to see aspects of self that are unpleasant, aspects of self that are jarring to you. And the reason why this reflection is happening is because there are certain doors that are meant to open up to you. And as much as we like to think that we may have already embodied all the qualities that we need to possess to walk through those doors, we haven't yet. It's a constant growth of refinement and becoming who you want to be. It's an everyday decision, right? So in this, I feel like the swans is speaking to this beautiful love, this beautiful connection that really is rooted in divinity. However, it's going to trigger you into your ascension, and that is not always the romantic love story that everyone wants to hear. It's not. We have tornado next, which I feel like is just confirmation. There's something in your energy field. You decided to make a decision drastically and kind of overnight. To be completely honest with some of you, the person I'm tapping into, you decided to make a decision overnight. And it wasn't that the process was overnight. You've had to, again, see these triggers play out. But you realize, you know what? I no longer want to operate from the wounded self. I no longer want the wounded self to be, impulsive and react based off of these triggers. You're looking to find your balance and your center within. And I feel like you have it. The tornado is coming through, and I feel like it's a divine orchestration from the divine, and with obviously your consent and willpower aligned to sweep everything out of the path that does not serve you. And this doesn't mean that parasitic energies, malevolent spirits are going to go away. What it means is that you are no longer choosing to engage with them. You are no longer choosing to give them power, space, or energy within your field. You are saying, you know what, all I can control is what's in my environment. And so this is a radical change that is happening with inside your internal world in order for the internal world to be expressed in your external circumstances. So this tornado that is happening, it's cleanup time. Everything that is not truly rooted in divinity cannot stay. Unapologetically so. Okay. And so in this decision that you've made recently and drastically, it is a total upheaval, a total just kind of breakdown of falsehoods that were not meant and that are not meant to stay in your internal world. For my own story, I've had certain things play out where I felt disrespected time and time again. And in feeling disrespected time and time again, I tried to distance. What God brought together, can't no man take away. And as I sing the end, I'm done. But literally, there's certain things that are coming to an end. And I said, I don't like these experiences. But again, I was reacting in a certain kind of way. And these experiences were only being reflected back to me. My experiences, my way of being. So understand that right now it can feel a little swarmy, you can feel dizzy, you can feel a little lightheaded. Make sure you're drinking your water, make sure you're eating your fruits and vegetables. I'm over here doing a reading, I haven't even eaten yet. I need to take my own advice. I don't got no fruits and vegetables, but I'm gonna enjoy the corn nuts. and some Oreo cookies. Mind your business. for my breakfast. You know, just treating myself seasoned. And clearly, we're doing a lot of work to destroy what doesn't need to be there. As I said that 10-10 and 10-11. The woman came up. So I feel like the woman, you are the spiritual lead, okay? I feel like this is very much speaking to a divine feminine who is doing the work. And the man, you know, he is reflecting to you the energies that you are operating out of, but you are creating the path. And in creating the path that you guys are walking, you know, spiritually hand in hand together, you are the spiritual lead. This is what's been shown to me. You know, take everything as it resonates in your own journey. But this is you actively, like Archangel Michael is saying, really embracing the divine feminine within. You are no longer running from the position that the Creator, you know, created you to occupy. You are allowing the waters to flow. You are allowing the softness, you know, to fully embrace you and just envelop you. Because I said that 11-11. So you're allowing the flow and the true vulnerability of divine femininity to be your, like your saving grace, but also the ground that you walk on. Okay? You are realizing that the divine masculine is going to provide structure. Allow yourself to just flow and really go after the sun. And I'm not talking about, you know, go after, you know, your dreams at this particular point. I'm just saying literally go after experiences that allow you to live. And in this, I do feel like what's meant to meet you will meet you. You know, what's meant to truly be aligned with you will meet you. The boomerang came out. Okay, it says the recovery of an item, health, money, friendships, relationship, enthusiasm, energy. People say you were right. The return of what's yours. Can we just applause of the hands? And after I finished that, that was 12-12. These angel numbers, excuse me. they be on point. So I do feel like this is a return of your energy. I feel like a return of your energy and the true like feminine grace, the energy that you were meant to operate out of, and you are choosing to operate in that energy is allowing your blessings to ultimately be returned to you. What opposition tried to do by keeping you in an angry state, by keeping you in a state you know, of impulsivity and being triggered, they can no longer keep that if you stay in a water state. And so now this is affecting your experience, you know, on this earth. This is, you know, I feel like I said that wrong. This is changing your experience on this earth. This is expecting. I don't know if I said that wrong. It's okay. My mind went somewhere else for that second. This is where now harmony is being brought into your life. You are saying, you know what? This is what I am choosing to engage within my environment. You are learning to honor your voice. In learning to honor your voice, you can sit here and say and set your boundaries, and in setting and honoring your boundaries, what's meant to ultimately come to you, it's what's going to bloom and enter your energetic sphere. And I feel like in these blossoming moments of your root chakra, there's going to be opportunities that come about. And this isn't a reading to sit here and say, you know, about opportunities and things like that. I want to make it very clear. I didn't know where this reading was going when I started it. I had an idea, but Archangel Michael was just like, just pull cards and we'll channel along the way. So I'm like, okay. But in what is meant to be yours, or what was always yours, being returned back to you like the boomerang, I feel like there's going to be unexpected opportunities that are going to be presented to you. And in these opportunities being presented to you, this is going to open up the door for the bear energy, which represents like boss, CEO, judge, coach, finance, benefits, wealth, right? I feel like just larger than life, this influence, you know, and protective energy. And so in this influence and protective energy that's happening, what is being offered to you, presented to you, you now have the strength, the wisdom, and the behaviors to really protect what's yours, and not just have something come in and be taken from you. You can now receive these blessings, use these blessings and these opportunities to cultivate the dreams, that your heart does desire. And it may be aligned for some where these opportunities that are being presented to you, that are being offered to you, are in alignment with what you want to do in the first place. So allow yourself to, in this season and in this season of your life, embrace yourself. I feel like this is very much a love message, but a love message of allowing yourself to live, allowing yourself to feel the sun for the first time, allowing your reflection to trigger you, or even being triggered by your reflection, to look at the behaviors that you don't want to occupy and bloom into the person that you were always meant to be. 1555. And in that, I feel like, living life, romantic connections triggering you, to you flowing into your divine femininity, to now opportunities being aligned with you, now you being the CEO of your life. Man, I don't even know what to call this reading. The table is being prepared for you. All you gotta do is pick. All right, choose. Let's see what else we got, because I love this thus far. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, there was a lot of cards that came out, but there was one that came out very. I just want to see all of these. Hold on. Okay. Because. Oh, sorry about that. Somebody opened the door on the other side very violently. I guess confirmation. The doors are about to open to you. And what's crazy? Okay, all of these cards I feel like go. So the first one that came out was Ladybug. All right, I'ma just look. They do too much, but it's okay. We're gonna go through. These cards because I got time. I love you, Archangel Michael. He knows I love him so much. So Ladybug, I feel like this is speaking to a vibrant, abundant life. I feel like this is you experiencing, the fun, the happiness, the leisure. I feel like this is just, I feel like Ladybug speaks to a very, listen, out of the bug kingdom, I love me ladybugs. Okay, they're very calm, they're very cute, they're flying, they got their little wings, they're just moving very peacefully, they're moving through the world, and the world is just in awe of ladybugs. Who isn't in awe of a ladybug? And if you're not, I'm gonna have to question your judgment, because they're the most adorable thing ever. They can crawl on me anytime. The next card that came out is Foggy Glasses. Listen, what is being prepared for you, you do not have access to see. So you won't mess it up. It is what it is. The reason why you can't see what opportunities are going to come your way is because in you looking for these opportunities, it has a certain energy where you want it too bad. You're watching the pot. It's meant to find you. Like I was saying, as you are living, and then again, a boomerang is going to hit you unexpectedly. And I feel like you're going to be surprised. I feel like you're going to be pleasantly surprised. I feel like you're going to be shocked. I feel like it's going to be very unexpected and well earned. So just because you can't see the road ahead, or maybe even the step ahead, this is your season to just trust that in just truly living, you're not meant to see the full path ahead, because if all the cards had been laid out for you, it's kind of like a cheat code and a manual. And there are certain things that you are meant to know. But the whole point of this journey is the experience of just flowing within it. Yes, there's structure, the structure that you built within your internal world, the compass that you're allowing yourself to be guided by, right? Which is rooted in divinity, rooted within your connection with the creator, your crystalline consciousness. Upgrades to your body, your light body. This is a beautiful season that you're entering into, but the distorted view of your future, whether it seems hopeless in this particular season, whether it seems stagnant, because for many of you, including myself, it seems hopeless or wants to be seen as hopeless. It seems stagnant, but it's not. 2022. As I said that. The next card that came out is Lion. Okay, I feel like some of you are walking, for many of you, you're walking with feline guardians. Okay, not feline. I don't say like, basically the animal kingdom of felines. Okay, lions, cats, leopards, panthers, jaguars, and so on. I feel like this is where, because for the lion to come up, I feel like this is you literally ruling your kingdom, your oasis. In connection with the divine, you are overseeing what's allowed to come into your environment, and there's no mistake that your higher self is guiding you to, these manifestations that are meant to ultimately take flight in this lifetime for you. Okay, so I feel like the church came out, but not necessarily because of the religious construct. I feel like it's more so a structure speaking to being rooted in divinity, right? The cards are all up for interpretation, who made them and stuff like that. That's on them. But I feel like this is a belief system that you are operating out of. You're being the example, and in being this example, you are affecting collective consciousness for the highest good of that collective consciousness. Okay. Fireworks. I feel like this is you and your divine partner, even though you and your divine partner may be at certain odds right now. It's okay. The passion is there. It's going to come on. I feel like it's going to be very explosive. I feel like this is going to be speaking to communication, to more time spent together in truth, because as this tornado is coming through to, basically wreak havoc and uproot everything that is false, what remains is true. What remains is rooted, right, into your connection. And so in this, I do feel like this is speaking to, sparks flying. This is speaking to new experiences within the connection. This is because you've been showing up for yourself, and now your divine partner can show up for you. We have the tree, grounded fertility. Okay. I feel like this is speaking to, because the way I look at trees is, they're beautiful beings that continue the lineage, right? Especially like fruit trees, right? They have their seeds, that falls, the seed is planted, a whole nother tree sprouts. You are literally evolving, and allowing the generations and the descendants to evolve past you, I want to say past you, it's continue the growth that you have started so they can continue to impact future generations. Okay, that is what's happening. You are creating something that is taking a root, and something that is true, that cannot be uprooted. We got the road card. Okay, I feel like this is changing, because it says kind of like crossroads journey, multiple choices. I feel like you made your choice. Okay, I feel like what this is speaking to is actively speaking to the road now actively changing directions. I feel like the choice has been made to constantly choose to ascend and be the best version of self for who I'm speaking to. And it doesn't mean that there are not, trials, that there are not tests. And it doesn't mean that you pass every single test flawlessly. What it means is that you're going through your lessons, you're integrating these lessons. It may take you a week, 2 weeks, for some it might be a little bit longer, it might take you a couple days, but you're integrating these lessons, you're seeing what doesn't work, you're saying, okay, well, now moving to what's working, right? And as you're moving towards what's working, the path is now opening up for you, because you see one, this is kind of like the darkness, the shadows, right? The other one is leading to the sun. And I feel like you've done your season in the darkness. You've done your season in the shadows. You've done your season with the heaviness. And now you're saying, you know what? I'm moving towards the sun. I'm moving to allowing myself to live. And this is now opening and blossoming the roads, for you. So that's what I'm getting with that card. Um, we got the anvil, and I'm pretty sure I'm butchering that. But I feel like this is, again, resolve. Like I said, with this card, I don't feel like this is kind of crossroads energies of making a choice. I feel like the choice is done. And I feel like this is a resolve. I feel like the more that you are going on this journey, you're unapologetically going to be yourself. You're going to be telling people, hey, today, not offensive. I don't want to have a conversation, right? If people are trying to get into your energetic field, if they're trying to, for whatever reason, communicate with you, speak with you, it's you honoring what you feel at that particular moment. 25, 55, these angel numbers keep popping. And so I feel like this is, and you making those decisions, again, it's opening up the opportunities for unexpected things to come into your life, right? These unexpected alignments that you are not going to be able to see, because surprise, surprise, surprise. And because you now know the version of yourself that you are constantly operating out of and choosing to be, and reflecting the version of your higher self, when these opportunities come and present themselves, you're not going to shy away. You're going to be able to, strike that opportunity, when that opportunity, basically, you're going to be able to hit the target, okay? When these opportunities present themselves, you're not going to be in a state of doubt. You're not going to be in a state of, am I worthy of this? You're like, you know what? I'm living. I've gone through the hardships. I've gone through the hard work. I am worthy of this. I am worthy of these opportunities. And you're not going to shy away from the opportunities that are being presented to you. So this has been a process for someone that I'm tapping into for many, many years. Okay. And it is time, okay, for you to, understand that in vulnerability there's strength, and in being honest, there's a beautiful strength of character that's ultimately developing. Then we got the rabbits. Okay, I just feel like this is a soft life. This is speaking to, now, saying new beginnings, desire, timid, a sudden increase, clever, resource facility, multiple sex, and procreation. But I feel like what rabbits are actively giving me, it's a soft life, it's a soft environment, freedom to be yourself, to be soft, to be cuddly, to be the actual version of self that people will love and be magnetized to. Because who doesn't see a rabbit and be like, oh, so cute, right? They're chomping away at whatever they want. They are adorable, creatures that, I'm getting very much fairy tale vibes with the rabbit. And it's going to feel like, I'm getting kind of like a wedding gown in the softness, and I'm not sure why I'm being told wedding gown, but it's right under the church, right, which is like speaks to marriage as well, family. I feel like this is a deepening with the divine partner, and you really, as a divine feminine, being allowed to be the softest version of yourself that you've honestly never encountered before, because society has not honestly made an effort or even had an agenda to allow women to embrace their true femininity and softness. And you are going to be experiencing that for the very first time, because you're allowing yourself to do that. And we got the child beginnings. I feel like this is speaking to, because we're having like an experience, this is a new perspective, in a child. I feel like this is your consciousness getting to a stage where it's very much childlike and it's exploring, but there's safeguards, that have been put in place, to safeguard this version of self, because you've gone through the hardships, you've gone through the degradation, and now you're going towards the light. You're going towards the sun. And so I feel like this is, new opportunities. I feel like this is just your energy and your season of being carefree, of playing. Um, you have the woman here right at the top, that came up as the Corinth. And then you have, obviously, like, the soulmates, or the swans, which are like divine counterparts. You have the fireworks, which speaks, to passion. Um, the child coming out in this particular position, I feel like you've done something to unlock something within the divine masculine within this connection, right? Because right next to it is the softness, the divine feminine, feeling like she can be soft for the first time. Now the divine masculine also feels like for the first time he can show himself as the little boy, the inner child within him. 3033. And so I feel like you're going to experience like the play of the divine masculine, the aspect of him that also wasn't allowed to kind of come out to play, and in these beautiful reflective dynamics of divine partnerships, I feel like this is the safety that he feels within you to come out and be his authentic self truly without fear of rejection for the first time. Now, in this, we got a book, okay? I feel like this is studying, someone really being in like their study mode and being distracted by just conscious growth. Conscious growth, right? Growing your consciousness. And as you're growing your consciousness, I feel like the more that you learn, the more that you study, the more that you're preoccupied. This mysteries of, and not preoccupied from a standpoint of overstimulation. Let me make that very clear. Preoccupied in tending to your internal garden. This is where I feel like secrets, of the hidden, right? The realms, other realms are going to be opened up to you, different experiences, because you're no longer in an energy of actively seeking these experiences. You've actively come to a place and point in your life where you're like, you know what, it's really beautiful to be rooted within my own energy. It's really beautiful to tend to this garden, and I understand that I got to take responsibility for myself. And in that, I do feel like, your team, the archangels, the deities that you work with are going to open up to you in beautiful ways for the work that you are meant to cultivate in this life. Lighthouse, okay, speaking to the inner guidance, okay. I feel, okay, so for this person, I feel like your spirit team may not be giving you step-by-step instructions anymore. And I can relate, because my team was giving me step-by-step instructions. They said jump, I said how high. They said, turn around, hop on one leg, and pat your head on the head, pat your head with, the right hand or left hand. I was doing it. I was like, okay, for how long? Jumped around in a circle or whatever. And eventually they got quiet. And I was like, ooh, I don't know that I like this. But you're no longer in a place, like, you still have their guidance, right? This is kind of like where you're sitting at a round table, you're making decisions, but you're trusting your own internal compass as well. Okay? And trusting your own internal compass, it is going to guide you to what you're meant to do, truly. And this is you not shying away from your intuition, because you learn to trust yourself, and it's been hard earned. Gears, innovation. Okay, I feel like this is speaking to downloads. I feel like this is you putting certain things in motion, just really being inspired. What it is in particular for each individual, I'm not sure. This is a collective reading. But what I do know is that in this, there's going to be progress that's functional, progress where it may seem like you're taking your time, because you're no longer like rushing toward the finish line. You're no longer saying, I need to reach this finish line in a particular point in time. You're realizing that the journey and the experience of this life is really worth every gem, every experience, every moment of refinement. And you are going to understand what you want to put out to the collective even more. I feel like you've also been very tired. So in this, even though there are gears that are moving, it's moving at a pace. It's not moving very rapidly, and it's not it's not going to be moving super slow. It's going to be moving, for each individual specifically into right alignment for what that particular soul needs. Because I know for me, listen, I've been napping at least sometimes twice a day. Okay. And if it's been once, it's been like at least 2.5 hours. Ridiculous. I've been feeling like a brand new baby or something. It's like I'm gonna take all these long naps. It's been working. Anyways, I feel like you got the 24 card, you got the wild card, okay? I feel like this is just surprises, game changers, all right? Exactly what this card is saying. Surprises, opportunities, open ended, game changer, unpredictable, adaptable, the X factor, unexpected, dark horse advantage. You don't know what's coming, what's entering your life. You don't know when, you don't know how. At this point, I don't even think you are looking for this wild horse. It's there. This is the last card that came out, okay? And I read them, that big pile, in the way that they came out. And I just love the way this reading is going. But I say all that to say, keep open mind. You never know what these opportunities are leading you to. Trust your intuition. Don't look at things from a trauma state. Look at them for the opportunity that they truly are. A blessing may be a means to even get you to the next phase within your journey, right? You've been reborn, and you had your moments where you were throwing some temper tantrums. That's okay. You realize that's not the energy you wanted to be in, and so you are now working to change that. And the overarching card is the helm. I feel like this is saying you're in control of your life. I also want to add for some that you've been trying to juggle a little too much, right? What I've been shown was that I've been doing a lot of spiritual work for the bloodline for me. And so I'm using my story to explain to you that it is very difficult to guide the lives of others and try to change their paths when they are resistant to seeing the truth of their own evolution and growth. And understand that as you are cultivating your own life experience and showing up for your life in the beautiful ways that you are creating opportunities and pathways and roads that they can also access what's theirs by living their life truly, authentically, and unapologetically. It's okay to walk away from the heaviness and the sense of obligation that you have to do this for others. Because in honoring yourself, you're allowing them to honor themselves and to also walk away from the heaviness of generational cycles that had been pre-established. So I say all this to say that, in a way, walking away from feeling the obligation that you have to clear karmic debt, from the bloodline, to help the ancestors on the other side and to help the descendants that are coming through, you're doing it by honoring yourself. You're doing it by putting yourself first. You're doing it by living your life for you unapologetically and authentically. And this is the season that we're walking into. It's more than okay to walk away. Take care. From me in spirit. Peace.